Call this Jackson County Commission work session, April 15th to order. Roll call.
Mr. Rich?
Present.
Mr. Venable?
Present.
Ms. Gilbert? Absent. Mr. Sis?
Present.
And the chairman is here also.
We have verification by Mr. Porter and a pledge for Mr. Rich.
God, our Father, we see renewal around us, all around us, the natural beauty of this world, and we're thankful for that. We're thankful for the renewal of our lives also. We're thankful for you. We're thankful for your Son. Thankful for those that choose to serve the people. So God, we pray you watch over us and guide us all and direct us. In Christ's name we pray.
Amen.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we approve the agenda, I'd like to make one change. Change number one, take number one to number three, because Mr. Arnold ain't gonna be here, he's gonna be a little bit late. So if we would just drop number one to the bottom.
I'll make the motion with that change.
I second it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? And I think we had one person signed up to speak. All right. You got the floor?
Okay, well, I'm here asking for permission. Relay for Life will be May the 10th. And I'm asking permission to use the sidewalk, that's the county's, and the big little bandstand. And we have our own liability insurance, so there would be nothing that would, fall upon you if something happened. And asking for the restroom to be open
And when is this?
May the 10th. It'd be we'd probably start setting up tents about 5, and it should be over by 11 p.m.
Okay. All right.
Do you need this?
Well, yeah, we do need a copy.
Okay. We go to him, or?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, 45 minutes. We appreciate, we've done it on the fairgrounds, and we just kind of want to move it to the square since there's such a push to do things on our square,
Yes, ma'am.
so.
Good idea.
All right, well, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, on discussion items. We'll go ahead and start with the historical documents board. I want to bring it up. These are each one of you got a list of the board members that's put in letters to be on the board. Everybody had a chance to look at these. This board's gonna be a little bit different. Most of these, it ain't gonna be as, kind of like the other board that we've done. This is gonna be mainly for fundraising. It's gonna be the biggest, duty, I would say. And then, coming up with places to post the document. And then bring it to the commission. So do we want to go with the number that we have here, or do we want to cut it down? What do you guys think?
That's what, 8?
I didn't count on it. Yeah.
When you say fundraisers, Mr. Chairman, what was it pertaining to then?
The historical document, putting up the monuments around the courthouse,
Okay.
but you can't use tax dollars for it. So all the funds will have to be raised by private donations.
If all 8 of these are willing to get out and participate, I don't see anything wrong with having them all, because, I mean, it's hard to get out and recruit people. I mean, if they're giving their time, I'd say put them once on the list here, my opinion.
That's a good idea. That's what I was going to say.
This board will also be responsible for bringing recommendations of what historical documents we would have to approve.
Right.
What historical documents Mike would install.
You ready?
Just in time, huh?
Yeah.
That land sale redemption fund, I've explained it to y'all before, that's, anytime property sold at tax sale, there's anything bid over the, bid amount, there's excess. So that amount goes in the land sale redemption fund, and, it sits there for, what are the law says, I think it's 10 years. And that's in case somebody comes out and redeems the property, if there's a problem with a tax sale or something like that. So this, typically I've got a parcel that there was a mistake on it, and I'm not trying to pass the blame, but it wasn't a mistake we made, it's back from the 50s, the mistake was made in the mapping of it when the TVA mapped this area. Section line was wrong, and it created a parcel anyway that shouldn't have ever existed. So all these years it's never mattered because the same person owned each side of that property. But years, 10 years ago, I guess it's 2008, somewhere around there, that property sold, and again, the mistake created a parcel which we ended up selling at the tax sale. So I need to void that, which is no problem. I mean, I can do that. I can void the tax sale on that piece. But the people are out of their redemptive period. They've only got so many years, and we give them their tax sale money back. So I spoke with the state, and they said it's no problem. It just have to be that I need to petition you guys. I can't just, or you can't just give it to them out of the redemption fund without you guys deciding, yeah, we'll give it back to them. And I'll be glad to bring the maps and explain it to y'all. I've talked to Mr. Guffey and talked to Bob about it, and it's what's right. I mean, we need to give him the money he paid for this parcel back, because we should have never sold it as a tax sale to begin with because it wasn't a parcel. So I'm just asking you guys.
So the current owner had it, but it was just another parcel that nobody realized it was.
Well, it had to do with, there was a property that is a big, large tract of property. I can't remember the name of it right off the top of my head. I've been driving all day, but anyway, it was sold, and they developed it like a subdivision.
Okay.
Southern Group, you remember that? That property?
Right,
Okay.
yeah.
So that subdivision never took off. It went bankrupt. A buyer bought all the property. But what happened when he bought it, like I said, because of that mistake 40 years ago, whatever, it left a parcel out there.
It didn't show up.
It didn't show up. So that same buyer come back a few years later because it still had Southern Group on it, and he bought it at the tax sale. So, since then, Walter Sloan is the gentleman involved too. He's come to us, and he's actually got 3 surveyors that have, come forward and said, hey, the section line's wrong. Section lines aren't wrong typically. I mean, you don't move section lines, you move everything else, when you're mapping. But they actually have proved that the section line is wrong, and it's been wrong for a long time. So I'm just asking you, the right thing would be for us to just give him the money he paid for it at the tax sale. It's money that y'all have just sitting in that fund. It's just sitting in that account. It ain't never been touched. But it has to sit there for, like I said, I believe it's 10 years. I'd have to look at the code again. But so I'm just petitioning you to just give him his money back.
Does he understand that since he's passed, 3 years, you have to wait, and we're beyond that?
I haven't contacted him yet. That's the reason I'm here, because I didn't want to open up a can of worms. If you guys don't agree to give him his money back, what will happen if you don't agree to give him his money back? He'll sue us. Rightfully so, I would too. And he's going to win that lawsuit. I'm just asking that he volunteer to give you money back before.
I'm fine with that. I just wondered if he, if you have a
No,
conversation.
I haven't.
with him yet.
I haven't contacted him yet, like I said, because I wanted to make sure that you guys are on board with doing that.
So does the property actually physically exist?
Yeah.
Or
Oh, yeah.
it's just a part of another parcel that it should have been included in another
Yeah,
parcel?
what it is where the section line is, Mr., what I said his name, Walter Sloan, his property says, the way his deed reads, is he owns everything in section 8. But because this line was drawn wrong, it looks like there's some more property in 15, which is the section above it. So it was something that would have got caught years ago if there had been 2 different people involved, but it was always the same person that owned all the property there. And then when this property sold to that development company is when this new parcel was created.
What amount of money are we talking about? Any idea?
It's in there on my desk, but I'm thinking it's around like $7,400, and that's the amount he paid at the tax sale, the excess fund, plus he's paid the taxes on it for the past 10 years, which is only like $32 a year, but But yeah, totally, it's around $7,000, 7,400 or somewhere. I can get you the exact amount.
7,400,
Yeah, I can get you the exact amount. And like I said, it's not like you're out the money, it's sitting there in that fund like it was supposed to. It's just past his redemptive.
And the right thing to do is just give it back to him
Yeah,
since it was a
yeah.
mistake.
Well, I agree with that, because it legally don't belong to us.
No.
It's a mistake that was made.
Yeah, I mean, if it hadn't been out of his redemptive period, I wouldn't even be I mean, it wouldn't be a question to ask you guys. We would just send him down there and y'all would redeem it and give him his excess money back, but it's just past that redemptive period.
Good.
President?
Okay. All right, if y'all don't have any more questions, we'll just put that on the next Monday's meeting.
Fine with that.
I'll be glad to bring the maps and show y'all if y'all want to look at them.
Okay. All right, we'll put that on next week's meeting. Next will be the revenue tech grade 4 position. So we have chosen Amber Hamilton as our new hire for revenue tech.
I don't know, I'm not sure that,
Is that right?
well, yeah, but I don't know that she's even, that person's even told, she may need to put in 2-week notice. I don't know, do y'all have to put her name in there?
We always have, haven't we?
Okay,
I think we always have. Oh, yeah.
It's always on paper, it's on recommendation, but it's not announced.
Okay, well, I thought we did.
It's on paper. Not sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
we-
that might have been my mistake.
In the meeting.
Maybe it was, okay.
I just know we haven't notified that person
Okay.
yet. We just
Okay.
was putting on a work session.
You're good with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Is everybody good with putting that in next week? Okay. All right. Reports from staff, county administrator, not here, county engineer.
I do have a report. Thank you, Chairman and Commissioners. I would like to inform you all that today we closed the bridge on County Road 82. It'll remain closed continuously until we can make repairs. One of the abutments and behind the back wall had lost material to the point that a hole developed in the road. So after inspection, it was deemed by our department that it was unsafe for travel.
Was that because of the recent inclement weather, or can you say, or?
In bridge file reviews, there was some scour ongoing, but that area received a lot of rainfall this past weekend's event, so it was a condition that worsened, I think, due to this recent flood, but I don't believe it was solely on the February flood, if that was your question.
Thank you.
Also, are there any other questions you all may have about any of the other things we've talked about, or things that are ongoing with Public Works? I thought it might be best just to try to answer any
I've had
questions.
several calls to come there over 818, wanting to know the status, and I've told them I'm waiting on the weather, and I'm pretty sure,
Yeah, 818, that 1,400-foot
Right.
stretch, basically a patch, that was resurfaced today.
oh, it's good.
Yes, sir.
That's you're on top of it. Yeah, pray, thank you.
Yes, sir. Any other questions about slides or any?
We still haven't received any indication as far as declaration.
No, sir. The way I understand it, there are a lot of things going on in Washington that have kind of clouded this issue. There are other states awaiting a declaration, and no one has heard any word on a declaration. So there was some relief in learning that today. I spoke with John Dennis. He's our contact with Alabama EMA, a coordination specialist, and he shared that with us. So I think we're just in line like everyone else right now.
As far as your thoughts, we are in a position that we're going to receive some funding, hopefully.
I mean, I can tell you that we have met county threshold, and our numbers haven't been adjusted to my knowledge. As far as the meetings we've had, I feel in our application. Now, as far as statewide threshold amounts, I don't, obviously I don't see that information. So I'm hopeful, and I would suspect so, but I'm just speculating.
The reason I brought that up, because I think it was, I can't remember, if I'm correct, Colbert County, that was thought they was gonna be able to get some funding. I seen it on the news one night last week, and they did not. Very, a lot of disappointed people there, you know. I
Yeah.
think it was maybe Colton County.
Right, yeah, so there's kind of two avenues on funding. There's individual assistance and public assistance. And so to receive public assistance, there's a $350,000 threshold. I may be off on that figure, but it's around that. And most of their damage, if I understand it right, was individual assistance. There were a lot of individual homes that were flooded and things of that nature. And a lot of the public damage was not at that threshold at the first assessment. I think they had since found subsequent damage and were revisiting that, but I believe that's what that conversation was about. So if you think about our county in that perspective, 350,000, we're obviously well over that threshold. So that would be the factor of whether our county would be considered. Now that's different from whether they declare a statewide declaration. So that's a $7 million threshold. Good questions. Anything else?
I've been getting a lot of calls over 93 too about the word on Facebook is we're closing that road. I said, the road's not gonna be closed. You know how once wildfire sets out on Facebook, it's the gospel. So I assured them that as of right now, nobody's talking about even closing 93. Just give us time, it will be fixed, is what I've been telling them.
Right, yes, it's my understanding that, it's not our intent to permanently close anything. It is technically permanently closed right now, pending repairs, but, it's gonna be, as you all have heard me say before, it's gonna be a long road, to doing this, but I think if we're strategic and we take it, one at a time and figure out our funding and are careful, maybe we can work our way through this.
I look forward to a longer conversation about it once we get a declaration and everything. We need to sit down and map out how we're gonna attack. I mean, we've got, I know y'all probably getting pretty close to the getting done with the smaller issues, the scouring and the undermining of some cross drainage and, stuff like that. But these bigger projects, we do need to, pretty soon, hopefully, we'll get word whether or not we're gonna get, declaration and then we can move forward. We're trying to come up with a plan on how to attack. I know you're short-handed. I know contractors are busy as they can be, so getting on their schedule would be difficult. So, and hopefully the public can just be patient because it's gonna be a while.
Our primary focus right now is on County Road 17, and that's mostly because it's a different funding mechanism that would trigger that repair. We reached out to a contractor, a geohazard mitigation contractor that we're familiar with and have done work with prior, and I had proposals working on that nature, and there's others that will be coming in the same vein of contractors that'll be coming to look as early as this week. But there has been some questions brought up and concern as their chief engineers have gotten involved about the location and wanting some more subsurface investigation. So we also have proposals out working, and it's gone as far as seismic refraction surveys. And so I think the intent there is to probably rule out voids, sinkhole, natured voids, and helping to understand their proposal and the way they want to approach proposing a fix. So we wouldn't do any of that prior to laying it out before you and showing our recommendation and choosing geotech even. But just to let you know the conversations that have been surrounding that site and the steps we've been taking lately and what our plan is. So those folks they've been on site since last week, different ones. There'll be more this week, and hopefully before too long we'll have a geotech proposal that will hopefully lead us to a repair proposal, if that makes sense.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman, Commissioner.
Mr. Porter?
I don't have anything.
Rocky? Mr. Rich, you got anything?
I just want to double and, say what Jonathan said, just to everybody give, the public give us a little time, just be patient. We'll get the roads underway as soon as possible, and, don't believe everything you see on social media. But, you know, that's hard to do sometimes, but anyway, I think I just want them to know that we're doing, it's not gonna be done overnight. I mean, Jonathan, he said that several times, it's not gonna be a quick fix, but, we're doing it as speedy as possible. Thank you.
Mr. Bibb,
I don't have anything to add to that, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Sears.
Just want to say thank you, as Mr. Rich and we've all said, for the work he's doing. It works people up, working other hours besides their regular hours. One other thing I wanted to bring back up, had a guy from Public Mountain call me last Tuesday on the precinct out there, and he wanted to know if the commission could help compensate some money. He was having to pay the electric bill out of his pocket. I told him, no, that wouldn't happen. We was not in no position to do that. But, we were in the process back early in the first year of changing these polling places around. I said, your voters will be voting at the Preston precinct. And he said, well, what do you suggest? I said, well, my suggestion right now is if you're having to pay it, just go ahead and have the power company disconnect the power. And Kathy had told me the other night, she wanted to get a phone call from this guy. I said, yeah, I did. And she said, well, that's basically what he told me, you know, and I said, I told him just disconnect the power. So that's the one thing that I think we need to get back on if we're going to try to save some money on this issue, because Kathy said that we have got to do it to get it all in order. And I talked with Felix today, and that's what he said. He said, Mr. Sisk, he said, if there's any districts that's going to be changed over from 22 or 23, he said, this is going to take a little time, and he said, I feel like it's necessary that y'all get started back on again. So I definitely want to bring that up, because I've kind of put myself in a position, you know, I told the guy to disconnect the power, and I feel like we need to bring it back to the table and help these folks get back where they know where they're going to be voting, and it's going to be a savings for the taxpayers. So that's all I have.
We'll put it on the next work session.
Thank you.
Get it done. All right, if there's nothing else, we get a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn, Chairman.
Second.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?